Good evening, Hawks fans. We're back here again, a victory in an elimination final, and we're off to Adelaide Oval next week. I'm joined tonight by Chris, and we're going through all things relating to the GWS games, the ups and downs, the swings in momentum. Chris, you were there live to experience it all at Engie Stadium, a place where we haven't won before. So good time to get our first win. Looked to be a fair bit of Hawks supporters out there. It really looked like and sounded like a home game for us in the end. But yeah, what was the crowd like? What was the atmosphere like? And how tense was it at that 3/4 time break?
Yeah, atmosphere was awesome. And I guess the key to us getting off to a good start, it kept the Giants crowd quiet until they finally, got in the game. Once they got in the game, they made a lot of noise. So they were louder than us when they got up and about. But we weren't far off matching them. But yes, I haven't been there. I've been there about 10 years ago to watch a GWS Collingwood game. So that was a lot quieter. It was probably about 1,000 people at the ground. But yeah, 20,000 people in that stadium. It was really loud. It was awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, like you could tell on the broadcast how intense it was, and all the interesting umpiring calls that maybe favoured us a little bit at some points and favoured them at other points, where the crowd was really getting into it. And it looked weird to kind of watch a game there where the crowd was really lively. But I mean, that's what you should expect in finals. But yeah, it was great to see a lot of Hawks supporters travelling out there. Let us know in the comments if you did travel up there and what your experience was like. And shout out to anyone who's planning to go to Adelaide next week. Looking at those flight prices, pretty insane stuff. I think that if you're going there, it's probably the drive is your best option. But yeah, interesting one for sure.
I looked at the prices earlier, and they were still cheap. And then a couple of hours later, bang, through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Talking about the umpires, yeah. I thought the umpires were quite good. They let a bit go, and it was fairly even both ways. Probably maybe a little bit favoured to us, but I don't think a lot of the GWS supporters know the rules.
They might
about things that
not.
Weren't there, and I was having a little chuckle to myself. But good on them for showing up. They were wearing high-vis vests. They were wearing anything orange they could find. It was quite entertaining seeing what some of the fans were dressed up as.
Yeah, it was a big day for the club in general, getting 3 out of 3 wins. We had Box Hill up first, getting the win in an exhilarating fashion. We can have a chat about that soon. But yeah, the 3-point goal on the siren win there for Box Hill, or 2.3 I think it was. And then obviously the Hawks got it done by 19, and then the women got the win as well. So the women are humming in as well. So it was a good day for the team as a whole, because it could have gone the complete opposite way where all of them lost, and it would have been a sad day. But huge strides for the club.
So it was some pretty key changes, I guess, at the selection table. Made the right moves, I think, bringing in Sam Butler and. Mitch Lewis was questionable, but he's gone down to Box Hill, played a good game. So that was an interesting call. But CJ did well when he came on. So you do want that X factor coming off the bench, I think, as your sub. So
do you think CJ did well? I might have to disagree with you there.
No, I thought there was moments. Well, there was lots. It's what you don't see off the ball.
Yeah, that's true. You were there. You would know.
I don't know if the commentators mentioned it much, but there was players from both teams cramping everywhere.
I saw a bit of that with Warpool and a few others at the end there. 2 big running sides. You can imagine how
the
tired
quarters went for quite a long time too, I noticed, and I don't know.
Felt like that. It felt like that at home.
Yeah, well, they were. I think the first quarter was like 37 minutes or something silly, wasn't it?
Yeah, I assume so. Like, it was insane. It just felt every quarter felt longer and longer. Like, we just wanted to get to the end to see the result, and it kept going on.
But like we said, getting off to a good start was key. So I guess that's what we're going to need to do next week. But
absolutely.
What was your takeaways? John Newcombe was lightning in that first quarter, or the first half even.
Yes, yeah, definitely. He was so strong in the first half, and really coming into this game, talking to other Hawks supporters and talking to other footy fans about how important Newcombe is to this side, and if he, especially in finals, and knowing, you know, obviously limited availability of sample, but how he's been in the finals last year, you know, he needed to show up to really get the win for us as a team, because the midfield is obviously our main kind of area of weakness where someone like GWS could get us. And yeah, he really stood up when we needed him, and loved his game. And it showed that when he went quiet, really in the third quarter, is when they got well on top of us.
Yeah, they just managed to get that handball out quicker and free up that spare man, whereas we were just tackling him so intensely that they weren't able to get clear and get good disposal. So that's what that whole first half, that pressure that we bring, that's what did it for us. So, and then we just sort of, I don't know, it might have just been purely getting tired. I don't think it was just becoming complacent because we had a good lead. But that was, I think I said that to you before, like 6 goals straight and not being able to stop that flow. We can't be doing that against any other team moving forward.
No, yeah, exactly. You know, you only get like big leads like that very rarely in finals. So most other games, the team kicking 6 or 7 in a row would mean game over. Nice. But yeah, good point here. 141 minutes. I knew it felt long, and yeah, that just confirms it. But yeah, I wanted to go back to your point about the changes made and the flow of this game. I think replacing Mitch Lewis, whether we can have a chat about Mitch Lewis versus maybe Deer, but I really think it was a good idea to abandon that kind of 4 talls model, which is not really a 4 talls because Gunston's not a tall, but or doesn't play much like a big full forward. But yeah, this pace that they had off halfback, we wouldn't have been able to compete if we had have played those extra tall in Mitch Lewis. So I know Deer got subbed off late as well. So yeah, we really need it, especially against this team. Obviously, it's a bit matchup based, that kind of 4 tall model, and it sort of worked against Adelaide. Obviously, we did pretty well, but I don't know. I don't think we'll go there again next week. But something we can have a chat about.
Yeah, well, Kelsha was probably running around pretty proppy in the second quarter.
Yes, again, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Like I said, don't hear the commentary, but yeah, he was pushing when he could, but you could see he was really struggling with something. I said to Mitch, I'm like, he's going to be subbed off at halftime, or they might send him out for 5 or 10 minutes to, you know, do the best he can and then sub him. So I was surprised he stayed on as long as he did before they subbed him off. But yeah, it's a little bit concerning whether he's going to be able to recover before next week's game or not.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, they didn't really mention it on commentary about Deer, but I did see like a few people at the game saying he didn't look 100% on the ground, and you're saying that again here. So yeah, probably good timing for him. It was kind of unfortunate. As soon as Deer went off and CJ came on, it's kind of when the collapse started happening. Now, is that the cause of it? I don't necessarily think so exactly, besides maybe CJ coming on and giving away a free kick in the first 10 seconds that he was on the ground. But I think, yeah, it's an interesting one. I like having that other tall there, but what happened was Weddle was playing on the wing, and we can chat about his game and his inclusion, which was massive. Yeah, he worked on the wing for a majority of that first half, and when CJ came on, he replaced him, and Weddle went forward and kind of did that role of what Kelsha Deer needed to do. So that worked out well in the end. But yeah, we had some big inclusions. Butler, another one, didn't do heaps, but applied some good tackles, which is what he's really in the side for, putting on that pressure and kick that late goal, which doesn't look hard if you were doing it at training, but under that sort of pressure for him to slot that through after, all he's been through in the late call up, it's his first final. So yeah, really clutch type of goal there from Butler.
Yeah, he's pretty composed. He took a deep breath, and I think you just mentally put yourself into that sort of routine and just try to block out the noise, block out that it's a final and how important it was. But yeah, he did a great job just to, because a lot of people were struggling, both teams, in that last quarter. It was that much pressure, especially even Toby Green, who's normally got ice in his veins, to miss his set shot as well. I thought that was just a huge let-off, because if he'd kicked that, I think that might have just sort of broken our spirit a little bit. But the fact he missed that sort of kept us running hot. So that was good to finish it off.
Yeah, absolutely. For Hawthorn, I really think the story of the game was the backline, and Fred got us started with this about how the backline is humming. You look at the stats over the last 10 weeks, really statistically, we're the best, maybe second best if you want to put Adelaide's backline in there, but they just collapsed last Thursday. So I think we could nearly be, maybe it's a bit biased, but nearly, the best backline in the league over the last 10 weeks over recent times. They work so well together as a unit, and we knew it would take a little bit of time for the new recruits, Battle and Barras, to come in and really work with the side. And we saw in the documentary at the start of the year, even Sammy Mitchell and Barras talking about how he really wasn't getting into the swing of things maybe as quickly as he would have hoped, but it's absolutely humming now. And I thought Barras played one of his best games. Battle was maybe a little shaky early, but came out strong. Scrimshaw did his job. Sicily did his job. It's like, it's really hard to pick someone who played the best when they all did very important things. And obviously we've got our runners in Impey and Amon and Hardwick completely shutting down Toby Green's game. I mean, you have to mention them all because no one had a bad game. No one did anything wrong. Yep. Yeah. So get those comments in about who your favourite defender was potentially, because I'd love to hear who you thought was best on the day. Chris?
Maddie sent me through a stat that he'd pinched off Instagram. 45 intercepts between those backmen. Hardwick with 14, Sicily 11, Battle 8, Scrimshaw 7, Barras 5. And that's, Barras doesn't get the credit because I reckon he probably had another 10 spoils to go with it. Yes,
exactly. He's often opts for the spoil and chooses when to spoil and when to mark at the right moments. So insane what they did back there, and coming up against a very, very strong forward line with lots of tools. They'll be such, just as important next week. And we can talk about like the first 10 or so minutes where it was quite a stalemate in the sense, but it was always down their end really for the first 10 minutes. And our backline just held strong, only letting them get one mark inside 50, maybe two. For no goals either. We ended up kicking the first goal of the game with that free kick 50-metre penalty to Jai Newcombe where no one from GWS stood on the mark, which got his game started. But it was that first 10 minutes really showed what this backline can do under relentless pressure. And it was rough, kind of seeing them not being able to get set up the way they would have wanted to when GWS got on a roll, because our midfield or our stoppage game really fell off, and that's where they were able to score from.
Yeah, well, that was it. You said we just kept stopping them, and then we were able to finally sort of get a little bit of rebound come from that.
Yeah.
But even the midfield, sort of from those centre bounces, were able to sort of get a little bit forward of the ball, where just getting it out, getting some ground, and then getting to another stoppage. I think getting to that second stoppage, we're able to restructure around the ground, not just the mids, but everybody. I think, who did I see? I think it might have been Dylan Moore. After the centre bounce, bolted from the forward line and he ran in behind the next centre bounce. And it was just a sort of, okay, I don't know why he picked that position, but obviously it's something to do with the way they set up. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. They just work so well together, and lots of comments coming through about who their favourite defender was on the weekend. I mean, there's comments for everyone, really. So, it's shout out to Kate Simpson as well, the backline coach down there, really getting them humming at the exact right time. And it's what's really keeping us in games. It's what's making sure we can attack. We're not only stopping them from scoring, but that's where we're scoring from as well. That's where we're getting our scoring chains to start from. So it's a huge part of our game. And anyone that was criticising the inclusions of Battle and Barras at the start of the year, I'm assuming not many Hawks supporters, but the outside media, why are they getting two of these guys when they've already had a good backline? Well, it's really taken us to the next level, and making sure we can compete with the best forward lines in it, which GWS statistically are one of the best teams for shots on goal inside 50. So we really stamped that out for majority of the game on the weekend.
Yep. No, they definitely got the ball inside there. It wasn't through lack of opportunity. It was just our resilience and just the ability of our backmen to work as a team and just stop them at every attempt. Even Amon with that huge tackle in the goal square.
Oh, yeah. Amon tackle on Jesse Hogan where Hogan was, got nearly 50 bloody kilos on him. Insane. But and you don't know, Amon's not really a tackler in that sense. He's not defensively sound in that way. But, yeah, it just shows you what you can do when you've got that group around you. But, someone else who floated down there a bit, who we've talked about already a little bit, was Weddle, who finally made his return. They seem to have managed him well, which is good after, the unfortunate stuff that's happened with Day, where he maybe have come back a little bit too early. This is really, given the faith. Played that half in Box Hill the previous week in the bye, and now came out and run out the full game, played on the wing, did exactly what you'd expect Weddle to do. Maybe took him a little while to really get into it, but by that third, fourth quarter, he was on, and he looked so dangerous in that last quarter when he was up forward, just couldn't convert, which he's normally pretty good at, but that'll come soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just think having him down there playing a similar role to what Kelsey would normally play in making those contests, and I think it sort of helped Chol get into the game. It couldn't have worked any better. He's played back, he played on the wing, he's played forward.
Yeah, even some centre bounce, even some centre bounces earlier in the year. He's just so versatile. They can move him anywhere, and you can kind of forget how important he is to the side. Obviously, we know what he can do, but he really adds that bit of X factor that obviously we've got a lot of sound players, but not as many X factor, can change games on their own, break lines type of players. So, and he's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Lots of comments coming through. This is an interesting one. Dylan Moore, he's spoken a bit about his kind of quiet final series last year.
I think it was the tuna. The tuna put him off.
Yeah. Oh God, if I hear about that again, I swear to God. But yeah, there was, interesting. I came into this final series being there's a few blokes that had some quiet games last year. One of them being Chol, and one of them being Dylan Moore, who really were in finals and normally play really well, but just weren't able to produce their normal type of game last year in finals. And I was really looking for that this week. But Chol was one who stood up, and he stood up late, which is good. Obviously had a few little issues at points, but Moore is an interesting one. I'm back him to respond next week, but there's only that small sample size, but maybe just a little bit in his head when it comes to playing in those finals, just to seem to be a little bit fumbly, which is very unlike Moore. If Moore's having an average game, it's normally because he's out of the contest, not getting enough of the ball, not because he's turning it over. So I thought that was interesting. But as one of the comments said before, he did get a few, important touches in the last quarter, which is where that kind of leadership mentality comes through.
Yep. Yeah, it was when we needed it most, wasn't it? That last quarter, everybody was tired, and he stood up when it was needed. He's hurting as much as anyone else, and like you said, he hadn't had the best game up until that point, but he just kept trying and did some important things.
Yeah, this is a good point. Speaking of Chol, obviously, was reasonably quiet to start out the game, but kicked those 2 goals late. The best one was the kind of snap around the corner, which everyone got around him for. Obviously, he kicked that very, very late one against where he just kind of bowled Sam Taylor over and really cemented the win there. But love what he does in the ruck. I mean, it's interesting. He's really only a centre bounce ruck. He's not as really effective if it goes from kind of like a throw in or a ball up. But when he's in that centre bounce, he's electric. We nearly win the clearance every single time he goes in there as a ruck, which is, a really good thing to have up your back pocket as your kind of second ruck.
And how did you feel Lloyd Meek's game was, I think?
It's that he had an interesting game. Very interesting game.
Want him to tear it apart, and he's so close, but so far. It just...
Yeah, it was Briggs is a very ruck in that sense. Big guy that can get around the ground reasonably well. Not as well as your Max Gawn types, but Meek got a lot of hit outs to advantage, which helped us win some clearances. And when we were dominating in the midfield, he was really helping us get first use of that ball. And then he wasn't able to really impact as much around the ground as he wanted. When he took that mark inside 50 and you just want him to go back and obviously you're a ruckman, but he's not really that bad of a set shot, but then he kicks it. I can't remember who he tried to kick it to now, and it gets turned over almost instantly. Maybe Watson it was or something like that. But those brain fades from the ruckman, there was a couple of them, probably more than we normally see from Miki. But yeah, it was an interesting game because if you look at his, fantasy super coach stats, you go, oh wow, he must have had a good game. But when you see it, Briggs also, did some really nice work on him as well.
Yeah, well, Briggs was one of those players who was cramping up real bad in the last sort of 15 minutes of the game, and I just thought, now's your chance to really sort of run off him and make the most of it. And he probably didn't quite. I think he was struggling himself, but I didn't see him cramping. So it was just like, just run, just get away from him. But yeah.
Yes. No, I think. It's a good point. He's coming up against Riley O'Brien, who really got the best of him, in my opinion, last time we played. Riley O'Brien is that very seasoned ruck who can really bring any ruck to his level, and just get him into a scrap. And very experienced. Obviously maybe not as much in finals, but he knows what to do and knows how to get it to his mid. So that'll be an interesting matchup to keep your eye on because, as I said, I think O'Brien has maybe done a bit of work on Meek the last couple of times we played him.
Yeah, and Adelaide's due to bounce back after that game. They were pretty dismal against the Pies. So
yes, I know. We're in that situation again where it's like, because you win, you get talked up a lot, and because they lost, they get talked down a bit. And this happened to Port Adelaide when we played Port Adelaide last time. It's not as bad because we went in as favourites to beat Port last time after they got smashed by Geelong. But I don't think we're going to walk in and it's going to be an easy win. Absolutely not. And I think if anyone thinks that, they're probably maybe drinking the Kool-Aid a bit too much on this whole Hawk ball thing. But it'll be a really, really tough game. And as he said, they're due to bounce back, and they don't, they rarely lose 2 games in a row at Adelaide Oval, even when they were finished 15th on the ladder. So it'll be a big trip. But we've done it before. We do have experience, obviously a different team, but going into a very kind of loud, rambunctious, hostile crowd at Adelaide Oval in the semi-final.
Yeah, as long as the umpires aren't influenced by that crowd noise, that's the one that gets under my skin. But if we just replicate what the Pies did, which was tackling and pressure, which we did against the Giants, so there's nothing really changes. It's just as long as we can execute our ball movement and hit the scoreboard, then I think we're all right. I think we're right in it.
Yeah, I think we have a decent chance for sure. I mean, they look to really be kind of like fish out of water in that game against Collingwood. Obviously, very few of them having finals experience. So, but they will take a lot from that game. I mean, we can look to there because we're getting some comments about whether Butler keeps his spot, Mitch Lewis or Dia. That's maybe I'll throw that to you, Chris. What do you think? Do you think Butler stays in, and do you think Dia stays in?
I'd say Butler only probably comes out if Harry Morrison's fit to play on the wing, in my opinion, for that one. Otherwise, he didn't get a ton of the ball, but he was good when he was near it. And he's probably flexible enough. I wouldn't have minded seeing him play a few more, bit more time in the midfield, but playing that high forward, deep forward, small forward role, he fit right in with the team. So, what was the next one?
Mitch Lewis, obviously, having a good game at Box Hill, which we'll have a chat about in a second. Then, Dia obviously being subbed out. I don't know. I don't think I'd want that personally to be made, but I could see why they could do it. But what do you think?
I think it probably comes down to Kelsh's fitness. Like I said, he was moving pretty poorly. So if he's fit, I'm playing Kelsha still. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mitch Lewis put his hand up. He did everything possible to get back in the team.
Yeah.
They may opt for that. I'd have to sort of look at the Crows. Yeah, no, I'm still putting Kelsher in.
Yeah, I think I am as well. I think Kelsher just offers a bit more above head, a bit more aerially, which worked against, the Pies brought in Mason Cox, who's, I would nearly back in, obviously Kelsher did to be a better player than Mason Cox probably is at the moment, but he was able to bring the ball to ground a lot and get their small forwards involved off that. So, yeah, that's what we want someone like Deer to do. And I think Deer's just slightly better at that than someone like Lewis is. And Lewis really hasn't shown much at AFL level this year. Obviously, he's been impacted by the injury and just slowly coming back. So we might not see his best again till next year. But yeah, I'm not sure it's to bring him back in. But seeing a lot of comments as well coming through about Harry Morrison, who should hopefully be fit. He's obviously like this groin injury that came up was a one or 2 week thing. Now it's been at least a month and a bit. It hasn't had much game time. Chris, would you bring Harry back in straight away, just back onto that wing, or could there be a sub role for him? Would you trust? Like, obviously, he's been in this side basically every game this year up until he got that injury, and really, really been quite strong on that wing. I mean, he's not outstanding, but he is playing his role. So yeah, it's hard to tell whether, for me, whether I'd bring him back in or not.
Yeah, like I said, if he was fully fit, if he'd probably played a game at Box Hill, I'm saying yes, because I think the balance between him and Massimo is really good. I think he plays a lot more defensive. Harry Morrison gets back, runs really hard. He pushes forward occasionally, but Massimo's a lot more attacking. I think it's a really good balance between the two of them, but probably not coming off a groin. Like, it's just so easy to do it again. So probably not. I'd love him. Yeah. Last 2 weeks I'd been saying yes, get him back in on that wing, but it's hard when there's
Yeah, it is a tricky one. I'm not sure. I think for me, if I was going into the game next week and deciding who I wanted on the side, I would nearly look at keeping the same squad out on the field to start with and changing the sub, dropping CJ and bringing someone like Bailey McDonald in potentially.
I was just reading Bailey McDonald's name get mentioned there, so yes.
Did he? Yes, Bailey McDonald. Now, I mean, he didn't have some amazing game at Box Hill or anything like that, but what we've seen at AFL level, especially as sub, he has really been that impact sub player. Come on and kind of can play that kind of halfback role. But yeah, obviously they like having someone to go on that wing, which is what CJ's doing. And the only other wingman we have is Harry. So it's an interesting one. I think there's a few different ways they could go at this, but I think it's going to we maybe see one change, but I think we're mostly going to go pretty similar to what we saw this week.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last time with the Crows and Dan Curtin's height and size on that wing, which sort of he did get a hold of Harry, and they couldn't put Massimo on him because Massimo's smaller than Morrison. That is a possible thing. So probably your options would be maybe Weddle playing a bit more head-to-head against him, or Jai Sarong, who they did play a fair bit of Box Hill time on a wing. I don't think they'll probably do it. I think they'll probably stick with Jai Sarong in that playing at Box Hill. But I could see them talking about it, discussing it.
Yes, I think it would be a discussion. But as you said, they've now kind of let Weddle play on this wing, and he can kind of roam forward or back whenever he sees fit, which I think is a good role, really a good role for him, at least at the moment. I like what you mentioned about Curtin, who's really teared teams apart on that wing. And we really looked to target Weddle on that wing as well on the weekend, because he was much taller than Angwin, was it, I think, early on, who he played on that wing as well. So they would I could see that they were trying to target that matchup for him to take a mark on there, which happened once or twice. So yeah, wouldn't mind seeing them go to head. They're very quite similar players. Like, they're so big, but can run all day. So it's a really really interesting one. Hello. Yes, I can see this chat. I can see all the chats coming through, which is awesome. Make sure to get any comments through. We'll try to get to as many as possible and trying to chime into any of the conversations you're having in the chat. But yeah, it'll be an interesting game. Maybe we should, before we move fully on to our next week kind of preview, let's finish up talking about this final. A few other players we've yet to mention one is C-Mac, who's chatted about a bit in this chat. I mean, had a good game, had a very good game for C-Mac, who's kind of been talked about as potentially being droppable or moved to the sub, but just because he's been out of form as of recently. But you know, if any time to stand up, it is now, and that's what he was able to do on Saturday.
Kind of feel like he plays similar most weeks, maybe a few disposals here or there. And then he hasn't played a good game if he's had 16 touches, but as soon as he has 17 or 18 and 2 or 3 goals, he's played a great game. So the difference between him hitting the scoreboard, and it's probably same with Maury, like, oh, Maury's had a bad game. If he kicked 2 or 3 goals, we probably wouldn't be saying that, would we?
Yeah, no, I know. It is interesting. But when you're in that, you know, half forward role, the best way to impact is mostly by getting on that scoreboard. And there was just a few like little spots that he was just not able to finish off from, which was frustrating me. Like there was a few open goals that he'd run into and he's just missed. So for him to kind of have that kind of clutch gene where he was able to finish those ones off, you know, on the weekend, that was good to see. And they were getting around him, and hopefully, you know, he seems to be somewhat of a confidence player, like a lot of that kind of Rat Pack is. Guinea, Watson, all of them really thrive off the crowd and kicking goals and things like that. So it'll do him a word of good, hopefully, to have that sort of game, and hopefully he can replicate that again.
Yeah. Gunners is just Gunners. We probably talk about him, do we?
Well, it's unbelievable.
3 goals, he just plays his role.
Yep, exactly. And Ginnivan was another one who he did a lot, but he had that quick patch there where he kicked a few, and it really. Chris, you want to talk about what you did after you kicked that?
Yeah, that was
that goal.
The only 2 goals we kicked in that third quarter. That was Guinea's back-to-back goals where he had his nice little his sellies, and 42 points up. That was in my head. We had all that momentum, and message Mitch, game over. Sure,
that's
much
the
to
worst,
discuss. And
worst thing you can do.
10 to 15 minutes, game got tipped on its head, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that we got complacent, but once they got that run on, where was the leaders to stand up? Like I said, backline had such a good game, and it probably wasn't their fault. The ball was just coming in too easy. Yeah. No, exactly.
And what we've seen happen is in the past, like not last year, not as much. Well, in 2023, 2022, in, you know, our most dire kind of periods over the last 10 years at this footy club, we were allowing these massive run-ons to occur with like 9-10 goals in a row, and we would just, you know, be losing games by 50 or 60 points, and we just couldn't stop momentum. Like it was the biggest problem. I remember, like, I think my first Talking Hawks anything was like a season review, maybe in end of 2023 or something like that, and talking about how many like big 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 run-ons of goals we let other teams have. And we were talking about how it was the lack of leadership in defence at that time that really couldn't get us, you know, couldn't stop those forwards from getting going. This time, I think we don't see it as much because we have that extra boost of leadership in the back with Barras and Battle, and obviously we've got Sicily and Impey and Amon. You know, that's where most of our experience lies, besides obviously Gunston in the forward line, but it is in that back line. But where we really lack leadership at the moment is in the midfield. Obviously, we've got Warps there, who is kind of the figurehead leader. I've heard that talked about how he's kind of their kind of main guy they go to in the midfield there. But obviously, when Warple's not having the best game, it's hard. I mean, Warple had a good game on the weekend, but in a sense, you know, not having a best, you know, couple of months of footy, it's hard to kind of look to someone like him. So, we are kind of lacking that leadership in the midfield, and I think that's where we find it really hard to stop momentum at stoppages, at clearances, where we just let teams get as much control of the ball as they want in a row really quickly. And, you know, it sometimes doesn't hurt, but it did hurt quite a bit on the weekend. And if we let another team do that, as I said earlier, you're not often going to be 40 points up in a final. You're often going to be, you know, max 10, 20 points, and you let them kick, you know, 6 or 7 in a row and the game's nearly out of reach. So, it's a concerning part of the game that I hope isn't glossed over now that we've had the win. But, yeah, credit to them that they were able to you know, get back out of that, and the break came at a decent enough time where they could go back and reset, and it was more mature than what it has been in the past, where that would have just completely devoided them of any confidence, and they would have gone into their shells and not been able to finish it off the way they did.
Yeah, I'd love to know what Sam Mitchell had to say at 3/4 time, but they were able to steady. And obviously, I think he said in his press conference, we have to attack to win, basically. We can't defend this lead. But, it was just slow. We just sort of composed, got just control of the game, and then just sort of slowly just chipped away. And once we got that extra goal and then got the next goal, and just the confidence built, it was great.
Yeah, good comment here. I reckon I would love to know what Sammy really said at 3/4 time there. I'm sure it wasn't, probably not a big spray, but there would have been, some big chats about that. And hopefully, you know, those leaders at the club there were talking about just calming them down and saying, you know, it's not over yet. We've got to fight this out. And glad that they were able to. But yeah, it was a big blip in what was a successful game. So it's hard to think about as much now. But yeah, if you go back and watch the replay, it's a tough watch, that last kind of 10, 15 minutes of that third quarter. Yeah,
certainly was. I have to just put this up. Crocstat needs to mention one of the best characters in the background, in the scenes, in the post-match club rooms. So I love it. I think I read that he has not missed a game. So I'm guessing that's any game that C-Max played, which was 80 odd games.
Yeah, I think I saw that as well.
A lot of interstate games.
I know, unbelievable. But yeah, you need, you know, it's not just the boys that go out there every weekend. It's, you know, their families, their friends that all contribute to the way they play in some part at least. So yeah, to have, like, we saw the rooms after the games. You know, the social media team was taking us behind the scenes in the rooms, and it seemed, you know, family club through and through.
Yes, imagine we win the grand final. I would love to. You could do a documentary on him, I reckon.
Oh yeah, can you? Oh, I couldn't even imagine, like, all, you know, the few crazy parents that are in there. I mean, Guinea's dad's a character too. So yeah, it would. Love to see that. But what I have seen come through is, you know, there's been recent, speaking about needing leadership in the midfield. There's been recent chats about Zach Merritt. He is potentially not feeling great about still being at Essendon, which I wouldn't blame him. And he might be up for a trade. I mean, he might want out. Will Essendon let him out? That's another story. But I mean, I for one would be absolutely overjoyed at getting someone like Merritt. Obviously, Petrarch is one that's been spoken about now for a little while. Would like him, but I'm sure most people in the comments here would prefer Merritt. Are you the same, Chris?
I don't know if he's quite what we need.
Interesting.
Yeah. But look, I'm sure it'll be talked about. It's tough for the coaching, because they've got to sort of start considering these conversations with the teams and players available who are sort of, in this grey area of how they're going to proceed moving forward. It sounds like, with the club looking like a rebuild, he doesn't want to hang around. He wants to go to a team who's a chance. So, he's got to start making inquiries, and I'm sure they would have spoken to Hawthorn as one of those teams. So, but look, I'll just let them do their job. They've been getting them right. So if we get him, we get him.
Yeah, well, exactly. They have been getting them right. But yeah, I mean, I personally would love Merritt. I think we need a accumulator type, I think. to kind of complement. It would be, Merritt's not as fast as someone like Butters would be, but he's pretty speedy and athletic and can kind of get through, break tackles and just get away from the opposition. And I think that's what we need. And I would love to see Merritt in, but that'll be a conversation for, a long time away. Don't need to hear about that right now, because we've got a final to think about before our season comes to an end, even though Essendon's is done. But yeah, lots of comments coming through now about Merritt, which is good. Some people don't want him. Some people do want him. It's a whole...
It's a good off-season chat to have, I think.
Yeah, I know. We don't need to get into off-season chat now when our season is still going. Leave that to Essendon. But
so that was one of the questions which was being asked by a few different people. Box Hill playing for... that was the answer, sorry, not the question. But yes, I've just had a look before. Game is still not up yet.
They announced them around midday on Monday, so you'll find out exactly what time it is tomorrow. I did see when I was watching the Box Hill game on the weekend that there will be one televised, and that will be at maybe around 2 p.m. I think that's what they said. I mean, I don't know if they would know, but what I saw on the screen was they would start their airing of it at 2 p.m. I guess that would change if the game time was different, but I'm assuming sometime during the day on Saturday next week, Box Hill will be playing the Doggies, who beat them not too long ago now at Box Hill. And yeah, Doggies are just about the best team in it and have been for a while now since they beat Box Hill. But yeah, let's have a quick chat about that insane game that Box Hill played on the weekend against Brisbane Lions at Box Hill City Oval. They got the job done by 3 points at the end. Lewis kicking 4, Ramsden kicked 2, Reeves kicked 2 late ones, which are important. And Bodie Ryan, the new James Sicily is what I'm calling him, because he went from defence to forward to late in the game to kick the winning goal just as the siren blew to send Box Hill into a prelim final. Like, it was one of the most insane games of footy I've seen in a long, long time.
Oh. Is there something you want to tell us about any comments you made, Lauren?
Well, yes, we both kind of had our own jinx on the weekend.
Yeah, so the early crow, yep.
Yes, when the early crow. So yeah, came home at halftime to watch the Box Hill game from my work earlier in the day, and settled in, and it was about even at halftime, and then Brisbane just piled on the goals, and when it got out to like 31 maybe points, 35, something like that, pretty far gone, and Box Hill just looked off their feet, like they couldn't get anything going at all. So then about 3/4 time, I hit Twitter, and I'm like, God, this is such a devastating way to end Box Hill season after, playing out the whole year, being the best team in it for nearly the entire time, and just finishing with 4 losses in a row, just about. And then I hit send, and then I sit back down. I was like, I'll watch the first 5 or 10 minutes before I start looking, towards the GWS and Hawks game. And yeah, they just start piling the goals on and getting closer and getting closer and getting closer. And it was insane. They got, within a few points, and they kicked Reeves kicked a goal to put them 2 goals in a row, really, to put them in front. And yeah, and then I was like gobsmacked. But then what happened was, went down the other end of the ground, 34 minutes on the clock. So they're counting up, so you don't really know when it's over.
Yeah.
Brandon Ryan, everyone's familiar with the big tall forward that we sent over to Brisbane for Gunston. He took a mark inside their forward 50 and kicked the goal. And, as I said, 34, 35 minutes on the clock, you go, okay, there can't be any time left here, really. Goes back to the midfield, out to Reeves, gets it out to Huswaite. Huswaite kicks into It weren't the only one. Yeah, thank God. Went down to Bodie Ryan, and he, as I said, another probably easy kick that's that you would do at training, but geez, was there a ton of pressure. He would have known there was, this was the last kick of the game, and he slots it through, and he sends, the Hawks to the Box Hill Hawks to the prelim, which was, just one of the most insane games you've ever seen. There was a fair few early crows on Twitter as well, I can say that, but that was a decent anti-jinx by me, but, wouldn't have it any other way. Much prefer that. Much prefer me to look silly for them to lose. So yeah, love to see it from those boys, and hopefully that changed. That was the best footy I've seen them play in a month or two. So yeah, hopefully that can give them a decent shot against the Doggies, who are a very, very, very good VFL side.
So I'm hoping, like you said, one will be televised. I think Hawthorn or the Box Hill and Bulldogs game would be the blockbuster. But
I'm
being
hoping,
in
yeah.
Melbourne, I'm not sure what they'll do. Whether I think Brisbane versus Frankston.
Well, no, the other one's Southport versus Frankston.
Sorry, Southport versus.
Yeah, I don't think. I would be shocked if it was that one. Really, they would have to go all the way up to Queensland to do. That's why I reckon it'll be. But don't quote me on it. We'll wait and see tomorrow. You'll find out. But yeah, it was an
hopefully it's scheduled for a Saturday. I don't think they'd play a Friday night.
No, they've only been doing Saturday finals so far.
Which frees us up for we can take a few travelling emergencies to Adelaide, and then depending on how that plays out, take them all back for Box Hill.
Yes, good thought, because we had to. Yeah, we held Bruce out. Well, Bruce is an interesting one. You can kind of play whoever you want while your team is still in finals. So I'm pretty sure he's allowed to play. So yeah, he was the travelling emergency for the GWS game, at least I'm pretty sure he was. So he might be able to come back into that side. But yeah, I think someone like Mitch Lewis. They just needed a Mitch Lewis idea down there to really give them another kind of target down there. Obviously, we're not going to ever deprive the AFL side of players, but it does, dropping Mitch Lewis has that bonus of giving Box Hill that boost as they head into finals. So, yeah, they've got a big prelim next weekend.
Well, yeah, like I said, they were probably the best two teams all year, so they unfortunately meet in a prelim, but that's the way it is. So hopefully Box Hill can get up for this one and then win another granny. They've had good success in recent years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Box Hill, they've just been, they're the Geelong of the VFL. They're just always in the top 8, really. But, yeah, speaking of Geelong, not that we're looking too far ahead, but obviously the winner of Hawthorn versus Adelaide would play Geelong in a prelim. And doesn't that just scare the crap out of you, Chris? No matter how successful we've been in previous years against Geelong in finals, nothing would give me any relief to my anxiety that I would feel in that week leading up to that game.
Before watching them pull Brisbane apart and absolutely obliterate them, I was thinking, we a chance against Geelong, but they're going to be bloody hard to beat.
Yep.
But like you said, don't get too far ahead. We're just going to
exactly
one game at a time. But to be the best, you've got to beat the best. So it would be a phenomenal run to go interstate to GWS, interstate to Adelaide, and then beat Geelong. Like that would be a huge, the ultimate sort of run into finals. Yeah.
No team has ever gone from 8th into winning a grand final. So we're not saying that it's going to happen, but probably not impossible. But we'll see. As you said, you've got to take it 1 week at a time, and I think this week is going to be really, really tricky, really, really tricky. They're getting, I believe Adelaide are getting Rochelle back, obviously not getting Rankin back. But yeah, so that's another kind of, he kind of offers that X factor, kind of small forward, can move up the ground, play a bit of mid type of role. And he can be really dangerous on his day. Obviously been out for a while now, so might not be 100% kind of match fit. But yeah, that's going to be a job for Hardwick, I believe, or I would assume. But yeah,
Rankin, we've got, like you said, Rankin was one of their best players against us last time when they knocked us off. So that's sort of a handy little person to have out. Rochelle, like you said, on his day he can light it up too. But
yes, he's kind of
the way our backline's going. I think we're looking good.
Well, obviously Adelaide kind of been spoken about as having the best forward line in it, really, like scoring the most points all year. So yeah, it'll be the truest test that they can get, really. And yeah, we'll have to start thinking about those key matchups, and yeah, it'll be a big. I wonder if they'll paint the Waverley Oval, Adelaide Oval sizes, Adelaide Oval dimensions, because I saw Collingwood did that last week. Obviously worked for them, so maybe that's something we might look to do as well, because it is obviously different size ground, but yeah, it does help that they have Rankin out. But don't forget we have Day out, so we're both kind of going in without one of our best one or two players. So, yeah, but as you said, he did impact a lot, so that could be a help. But they didn't look great last week, Adelaide. But
do we
not often do teams go out.
Do we send somebody to Jordan Dawson? I think he's probably their most vital player, influential player at the moment.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. Dawson had a pretty quiet game on the weekend, so he'll be absolutely raring to respond as the captain. So I don't know. We don't really have a tagger. So Nash does jobs on guys at stoppage, which I think we could see. But no one's going to follow him around everywhere, I don't think. No one really can do that except Mitch Lewis.
More specific to stoppages.
Finn McGuinness, why did I say Mitch Lewis? Yeah, more. I think we'll just say put Nash to him. At stoppages and at clearances. I think that's what we need to do. But I would say, good teams don't tag. Good teams don't tag. But then you look at Geelong and they ran 2 tags on the weekend and they dominated. So you never know. I did feel like we were missing Mitch Lewis a little bit before we played the GWS game, because it's like, I would have loved to have someone who could just, put Callaghan away for the time being, because I was worrying about him going into that game, and he obviously did a bit of a job on Callaghan back when we played them well earlier in the year at UTAS. But yeah, so we are missing Finn McGuinness a bit, even if he's on the fringes. He's there as an option to do a job like that. But yeah, it's I think we're just going to back the midfield to go mostly head to head there, really.
Yeah. Don't mind this shout by Craig. Maybe not from the start of the game, but if he sort of gets off the leash, I wouldn't mind just sending Weddle. I think Weddle will just run with him, hunt it. He's quick with him. He'd just tackle him every time he touches the ball. I think that's it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You wouldn't, maybe if he was really, had 30 disposals at halftime or something like that, because you don't want to also take Weddle out of the game. Because
no.
That can happen. If you give them the job to tag, then they might not be as impactful on the offense as you would like them to be. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but I think they'll just try and get them done head to head. As you said, we do like to change things around mid game a lot. So yeah, I could see something happening. We even tried Seamus Mitchell as a tagger on Malera Nas earlier in this year. So we have been throwing some people into different roles this year that they haven't done before. So we could see it, but I don't think we'll start any tags or anything like that.
And on the flip side, are they going to try and shut down any of our players like Amon and Jars? They've probably been 2 of our most influential players as far as unleashing our scoring chains. Do you think they might tag us?
Yeah, so they did, when we played them at Adelaide Oval, they did tag, or at least try to tag, or give a more defensive forward matchup to, I can't remember who it was, maybe Lockie Murphy. I don't even know if he's still in the team. I feel like he's not in the team anymore. He's kind of one of those fringe players that can come in and sometimes does a role. I'm not sure if he's playing, but he's one that, so we know that they might look to do that, since they did that last time. So yeah, Murphy could potentially come and do a role. I think they will definitely look to shut. I don't think they'll let Amon and Impey do what they did on the weekend, which was kind of roam around free and do what they wanted to. But we've got, as we spoke about, we've got so many guys off that back line. I mean, even Battle can do a job where he can run through the mid, break lines off the half back line. So, you can't shut them all down.
I guess the other one you might target is John Newcomb, just because the rest of our midfield, but if you shut down Jai, I think that really hurts us. So maybe they might look at that as an option as well. Yeah,
now that all the media is obviously speaking about his finals record after the game on the weekend, where he just dominated. Number 1 ranked player on the ground in every single one of his finals. That's an insane stat, really.
And for such a young player too.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to. We'll be on watch for that for next week for sure. Hopefully, he doesn't get in his head about it too much. But yeah, they will be, I'm sure, looking to do different things there. Alex Neil-Bullen has used to tag a bit at Melbourne. Has done it a couple of times this year, I think. So he could definitely do a job on someone. But yeah, they are a side that's also a little unpredictable as well about who they put. You know, they had Max Michelini. He tried to tag or tried to do a defensive job on Josh Dacos up forward when he's normally a backman. I thought that was interesting. Didn't really work for them. So I think maybe Michelini might go down back again. But if he stays forward, he's one that could be doing a job on Impey or Amon. Yeah, it'll be an interesting matchup for sure. But as we look to wrap it up here, get your predictions in the chat for that game, because it's going to be a massive one. Another big final at Adelaide Oval, and yeah, hopefully we can come out the side of this one as the winners this time instead of the losers and start a big drama with the team. But yeah, we saw how rowdy that Adelaide crowd was on Thursday. I mean, that was just insane. So yeah, it's going to be an intense atmosphere, and shout out to any Hawks fans that are going down there, because you've got to be pretty bloody brave to do that. So give yourself a shout out in the comments if you are heading across to Adelaide next weekend. But yes, yeah, Chris,
be loud and proud, support the boys.
Yep.
The Strathmore Hotel, for anyone travelling there, was the Hawthorn meeting point last year. I'm assuming it's going to be the same again. So
good
if you're looking to go to a nearby pub beforehand, yeah, the Strathmore is the go-to.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So give us your predictions there, Chris. Oh, this is a good point. Yeah, Gunston had a great game last time we played Adelaide, and obviously we like what Gunston does, but yes, we can't rely on him to kick a bag again. So yeah, we need contributions from all our forwards, and especially our smalls. I think we'll need to really stand up.
I can honestly see this one going either way. Same as GWS. I thought that one prior to the game could have gone either way. In saying that, I think I'm just going to have to go with my heart on this occasion. I reckon Hawks are good enough to win it, and I think that 3 to 4 goal range, I don't want it to be close. It could go close. But let's go 3 to 4 goals.
Yeah, I think this one will be close. We got Hawks by 9. In the Bay 9 3/4. Yes, obviously. Yep. This one we've got to
respond with a couple of goals too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best of round. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's predicted us a loss. Crows to get away late. Yep. Could happen. Hawks.
Well, talking about that is something, a factor that they've played 2 days earlier to get a lot more time to recover for the game. We're coming off a short backup. So I can only imagine we'll have a pretty light week on the training track, and it'll be a lot more coaching on the whiteboards than on the training track.
Yes, but I did see a comment a while before saying any injuries, obviously none reported. Chris, you're saying, Deer looked a little proppy, so we might hear about something about that during the week potentially, but hopefully all good on that front. But yeah, as you said, we take two less days in of preparation time. It's not like, at least, Adelaide couldn't prepare for who they were going to play for, at least at that point, for those 2 days before. But yeah, I think that could impact us a bit. I mean, Adelaide are a very fit side. They've got a lot of runners that can kind of run all day. So I think if we were to get done, it probably would be maybe after being close up to 3/4 time, they might run us over in the last. But what I don't want to see, which I was scared was going to happen against GWS, is where we come out really strong in the first quarter and then completely fall away in the second, and then sort of respond in the third and then respond in the last, but then not get it done, which we've seen. Mitchell talked about it even in like all of our kind of interstate games, the Brisbane game, the Freo game, a couple of the other ones that I can't remember now, but where we would just we'd start really well, we'd get a decent lead, and then we'd let them come back and they'd run over the top of us at the end. So I wouldn't love that to happen again, because that's what happened last time we played Adelaide. So yeah, hopefully I'd want us to just stay in it all day and hopefully can get the edge at the end. But I think I'm just predicting, can I predict 1 point either way? 1 point either way. But no, I would say it would take a massive, massive game for us to win, I think. I think they just match up really nicely. Their midfield is so good on
Do you
their
know
day.
what I liked? Well, talking about 1 point games, the Gold Coast Suns over Freo, that was amazing to watch. But
Yeah.
they sang their song like it was a grand final.
Yeah.
Our game, I watched the boys. It was a little bit more than a regular season match, but they didn't go over the top. And I feel like they know they've still got more in them. So I think they can get the job done.
Yeah, I think they will have confidence, and when they have confidence, they tend to play well. But what you said is right. I think we'll know early whether this team's up for the fight, because it will be about bringing pressure. And we brought pressure against GWS, and it worked for majority of the time. And it's really hard to maintain that type of pressure for all game, but Collingwood did it. And it's even harder when you're playing off a shorter day break than the other team is. But that's what they have to do. And at times this year, when we don't bring the pressure, we really look like a substandard side. So hopefully that's number one on the list this week. Just front of their minds all the time is pressure, pressure, pressure. They, all the clips I've seen from the Adelaide and Crows game after people talking about how the Pies beat them, and it was just relentless tackling, like each time tackle and tackle and tackle, and it meant that perceived pressure later in the game, even when they couldn't tackle because they might have been out of gas, they were able to really put the pressure on and make sure that they were turning over the balls, even if there wasn't a Collingwood player in the area.
Yep. Good shout out here. I missed that. I'm not sure what day it was released. I missed it earlier in the week, but
it was earlier. Yes,
that's almost going to be a one club play out kind of a scenario, I think. And he bleeds brown and gold, so couldn't go to a better person, I don't think.
Yeah, he definitely does, and we'd love more than anything for Maury to get up and just shut us all up about talking about him playing finals and just kick 4 or 5 goals and get 20 or 30 disposals and really have the game of his life. But yeah, I think that's it for us tonight, Chris. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks to everyone in the comments. We had plenty of comments coming through. It's good to come on here after a win. Hopefully we can do the same next week, but we will be here next week. Win, loss,
lose or draw.
Well, there's no draw, is there?
Well, we can draw, but there'll be a result at the end of it.
Yeah, there will still be. God, I really would not like that. That would not be good for the heart. But anyways, we'll see. If it's a win, we take it anyway. It comes. But yes, I think that's about it for tonight. Thanks for jumping on, everyone. Make sure to get us all on socials, Talking Hawks everywhere. We'll make sure to see you guys next week. And yeah, go the Hawks.